United Way of Natrona County and its partner agencies are providing programs and services that focus on basic needs, health and wellness, and youth development. When you join forces with United Way of Natrona County, your generosity allows us to meet those needs. We know people like you want to make a difference in the community. Please give. Collectively, we can make a difference.
There's a little flame inside us all. Some shine bright, some shine small.
CASA is appointed to cases of abuse and neglect that when a child's removed from their home and placed into state custody because of that, that's where CASA is appointed by a district court judge. And so what we do here at CASA is we train the volunteers and we support them and we guide them through the process to be able to go into these homes, get to know the child, get to know the family, understand what services they might possibly need, what's not being utilized, and make some recommendations. At the very core of it, a lot of their basic needs aren't being met at home. They're being abused, they're not going to school, they're not getting medication. You know, they can come out from medical neglect, physical neglect, educational neglect. And so that's in court saying what that child wants. That's there for that child, the one that's going to show up when they say they're going to show up. And our advocates have had really integral parts in changing the whole dynamics of a case. It's 90 now. And like I said, our goal has always been, let's have advocates on the waiting list and not kids. It's because every single kid deserves an advocate. It shouldn't have to be, you know, which case is the worst. Every single case is bad and needs somebody fighting for them. So, and it's neat because when we go out and help promote United Way, when we go do talks to big organizations, we say, you know, you're not just funding one organization, you're funding 28 organizations. And all these organizations work really closely together. I mean, CASA uses United Way money and utilizes that to train our volunteers and to make sure that we actually have somebody who can stand up and fight for these kids in court. It's a way that the entire community can really work well together.
You know, at Wyoming Rescue Mission, we are all about community and collaboration to creating solutions to many of the things we struggle with as we help raise people out of poverty and homelessness. Our partnership with United Way is just so critical to that. We're a private nonprofit. We receive very little government funding, so the partnerships that United Way brings to the table to bear on our work, it makes a direct impact on those that are hungry, those that are homeless without a place to stay, and getting their lives back restored in the community again.
We have two main programs. The first one is our group home, which is a long-term home-like environment for youth for a variety of reasons. So sometimes they stay because they've been adjudicated for disciplinary or family issues. They really focus on making sure that kids are learning responsibility and accountability. That's our program focus, is responsibility and accountability. So we give them more responsibilities as they learn more and as they grow. They get opportunities, they do their own chores, they learn how to do their own laundry. They participate in life skills and goals groups each week that help them really define what they want. The second program is our youth crisis shelter, and that is probably the most utilized program, but it's short-term stay. So the purpose of that program is really to provide crisis intervention, safety, shelter. We provide 3 meals a day, 2 snacks a day, food, clothes. We have a lot of times when kids come in and they haven't had clean clothes for a few days and they haven't had a good meal for longer than that, and we serve between 500 and 600 youth that way a year, of children ages 0 to 17 is what we serve. And the primary reason that service is utilized is family conflict funding from United Way. We receive the general Natrona County United Way funding, which is a huge section of our budget, and that helps pay for food, it helps pay for clothing, it helps pay for, we have a staff training, and it doesn't pay for any staff salaries. It literally pays to go directly to how do we empower and how do we support the youth and families that are here.
United Way is extremely important to the ARC of Natrona County because we are Medicaid funded, and so when we are reimbursed at a lower rate and we're having to pay out our employees, There doesn't really leave any room for activities for our participants and to have a building and to be able to reimburse mileage and all those different things. So United Way's support through their grant funding is extremely important, that we are able to provide our participants with all those opportunities and activities.
Any funding that we get locally from United Way funds, it does several different things. One, it allows us to not have a waiting list. The more money we get locally, the more we're allowed to not have to have a waiting list. And it would be so hard to tell someone, I'm sorry, I know you're hungry, I know you can't cook, I know you're homebound, but I don't have enough funding. If we didn't have United Way funding, we wouldn't be able to get the federal and state funding, therefore we just wouldn't exist. Anyone over the age of 60 that is unable to prepare meals for themselves or do any kind of activities during the day. So if you're limited in your ability to cook your meals, grocery shop, drive, clean your house, then you qualify for the Meals on Wheels program. So on Monday through Friday, we deliver 41 routes in the city. We deliver to almost 500 people a day. We deliver over 550 meals a day. Last year we delivered almost 171,000 meals in Natrona County. You know, try and pull yourself away from society and see how that makes you feel. Your eyesight's not good enough to really see your TV or read. You don't have Facebook. You don't have a computer. Who calls you? Somebody calls you maybe on your home phone, which nobody uses anymore either. And see how lonely you feel after a weekend. And that's what our seniors go through daily. You feel. I know I tease and say, you know, I would love the peace and quiet for a weekend, but no, you wouldn't. Not for years and years and years upon end. Your family's not in town. Who do you turn to? You don't have anybody to talk to. It gets pretty lonely, and it gets very depressing. But you're right. So it is a friendly visit. It's someone just to say, how are you today? Do you need your mail? Is there anything I can help you with? You know, do I need it? You know, just how are you? How are you feeling? How's the grandkids? Have you talked to them lately? But then you've got the health check. It's not just how are you, socialization, and if it were your grandmother or grandfather or mom and dad and you weren't able to be with them or live in the same area that they lived in, you would want to know, you'd have peace of mind that at least once a day a Meals on Wheels driver was coming to just make sure they were okay. So we always say, like, we offer a hot, nutritious meal, we offer a friendly handshake and a smile on a visit, and we offer a well-being check for those folks. So it's not just food. Mm-hmm. It's way more than that.
United Way's funding is really, it's a big part of our program, and it's nice to have it. And the one thing I'll say about United Way, I've been a director here for a long time. I've been the director since 2003, so every year you go back and you ask for money from United Way. And the interesting thing about United Way is that they just don't give you the money. They watch the money well. So as a donor, if you're going to give money to the United Way, you know that they've vetted out the programs, they've made sure that the outcomes are there, and they're making a difference, so they wouldn't give you the money. So as a donor, you have to have some comfort in that too, knowing that it is going to where the United Way feels is best and appropriate. It's very true. And I think a lot of times we provide the therapy, but we provide support as well. So if your child is born with a special need, because sometimes no right away, whether the preemies or they've just got a diagnosis right away, we're the first people they see oftentimes when they come home from the hospital. So it really is a resource for parents, as you said. And no, so it's not just about the kids. And in fact, the Birth 3 program it's a family service plan. So the service providers on our end teach the parents how to interact and educate and play with their kids until they're 3, and then when they become 3, it becomes an educational plan.
We had good parents. We wanted to be parents. That was one of the things I think that brought us together and wanted a 20-week checkup, the exciting one that everybody goes to and is excited to find out what we're having. And she looked at us and she said, I don't know why, and I don't know what has happened, but it very much looks like your baby has less than probably 30% of their brain matter. What I'm seeing is a little bit of brain matter around the outside of the skull and a really big dark hole where there's nothing in the middle. What I'm concerned about is that if another blood clot passes, it could pass to you, me, instantly, and you would die. Right. I had enough of a background to know how important early intervention was. And after we got the feedback back from the MRI, from the fetal MRI, that he had agenesis of the corpus callosum, and we knew kind of a little better what we would be facing, we knew that we had CDC. And I'll be honest, that was one of the biggest things that went through my mind when we, even on our drive home, I remember thinking, if this baby lives, what kind of quality of life can we provide?
He was born, we were just, like, when he came out, you're just, like, wondering, is he breathing? What's he gonna do? They gonna take him right away? So
they grabbed him.
I was excited, but I was like,
I remember the nurse
in
looked at
shock
us and
because I didn't take any birthing classes. I didn't know a whole lot what was gonna happen there. Well, I kind of did, but
You did not.
I was not ready for it.
And I don't think Garrett and I had even taken a breath yet. Sorry, and they laid him on my chest. And our family came and saw him. And then the nurse came in and was checking on him and listening to his heartbeat and listening to my heartbeat. And I said, why haven't you taken him? He needs help. Why haven't you taken him? So they just left him there with us. And after a couple hours, they moved. She said, I looked as hard as I can. I can't find anything wrong with him. That's a miracle. And that was with having occupational therapy. We had physical therapy. We had speech. And by the time he was 3, we had closed a 9 to 12 month gap in every single area that Garner was tested in, and he almost didn't qualify for the 3-year-old program. And I know that a lot of that is, like, glory goes to God, and I know that a lot of that is the help that we had at CDC. It was massive. It was huge.
It's nice to know that there's a place for your kids to get services and to better the quality of your kids' life. I mean, especially when they have special needs, it's just nice to know that there's that help out there.
And we were told that we had a child that might not make it to term. If he makes it to term, he's not going to live far past that. And if he does, his quality of life is going to be low, and we can't help you, and I don't know if there's help out there for you. And the things that ran through my head of what we were going to need to help him get through was huge. And it was literally the difference for me between, I don't know if we can afford financially to give him the quality of life that he deserves, or if we should maybe just terminate our pregnancy and start over.
Right.
And I don't want another mama to have to worry that the reason I can't carry this baby is because I can't afford to give this baby what they need. And I can tell you firsthand, the CDC took that off of my plate. And I didn't have to worry about it anymore. And I knew that he was going to get the help that he needed. And it wasn't going to flatten us. And our community is so blessed that we have this. And more so that we have a community that will support something that helps families in a way that nobody else can.
There's a little flame inside us all.
I always say, we need to build our community. This is a community we live in, and it's a very proud community, and it's an amazing community. I mean, the kids that are in our system are the kids that are going to school with your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews, They're walking the same hallways, they're sitting in the same classrooms with them. These are the kids that we're going to employ later. So let's give them a hand, get them going, put them in the right direction, and the community will stay really great. It'll be a community that we want to live in. It will, and it takes everybody to be involved.
I think United Way encompasses agencies that it's very easy for you to make a difference in your community that also makes a difference to you.
Mike is very good about keeping that administrative cost low, so it's not like, I've heard of those other nonprofits, and I don't want to name any, but other nonprofits, especially the national or the global ones, where, I just found out that only 4% of my money actually goes to where it's supposed to, and that is not the case. As well as I just completed my quarterly report or my mid-year report for United Way, and they do want to know, what are the outcomes? How are not just how many people we're serving, but are we doing it well, and are we actually making a difference? And for a long time, we just want to know how many people are we serving, and now we're saying, okay, but are we? And I love it. Daniel's Fund does this, but so what? So what does that mean to the community? And so for us, that means 600 kids a year almost get to sleep in a safe bed. And it's just important. We are really fortunate in this community to have, just such an amazing amount of social service support for families and youth and others, but that's just my passion. So that we just have this huge, it's remarkable, really, what can be done, and the fact that United Way provides so much to so many and so many different.
There's a little light inside us. Oh.